Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah. This is Yared Yao checking in. Bad math, bad math, bad math. Correction. I gotta come on here and make another correction, or make a correction to this video, the math in the video. I don't know what I was thinking, but I messed that math all the way up, and then I messed the explanation for the math all the way up too. So let's revisit it. The math that we're talking about, you guys, is the history of the 10 northern tribes of Israel. Where are they now? And, what are they doing? How are we going to fulfill this prophecy if we don't know who they are? So the suggestion is, and this is, just following biblical material and historical material as well, we'd say that Josephus is somewhere in between biblical and historical. But we're also using Romans like Tacitus as historical landmarks and waymarks towards what we understand and how we explain what we understand. So 10 northern tribes, we know that they were banished from beyond the rivers of Babylon. So they were banished to the east. We know beyond the rivers of Babylon was Persia, right? We know Persia was beyond those rivers. And in Persia, we know, or in close regions to Persia, we know that there was a group of black people called the Colchis and the Iberians that made up a twin nation that were in the lands of Gog and Magog during the intertestamental period and then afterwards. We know that that black group of people is black because of Tacitus, who describes the Colchis people as being black, and they are the sister nation to the Iberians to their east. Tacitus, we know Tacitus says that the Colchis are black because he describes them as having dark skin, wide noses, and then curly hair, just like Jews, Egyptians, and Ethiopians. So he puts Jews in the same category as Egyptians and Ethiopians and say that they all look like these Colchis people that are found in the south of the Caucasus, southeast of the Caucasus, what we've always known to be lands of Gog and Magog because of the Caucasus Mountains. So with these two mysteries in place, why is this group of Israelites in the land of Magog, and then where are they now? We then postulate based off of 2nd Esdras that they took the journey for 2nd Esdras 13 and took the journey into an unknown land, and that journey took 1.5 years, 1.5 years. And so what I did a couple of months ago, and this has been when I was kind of revisiting this information, I did the path for a land bridge through Alaska into Canada and then down into the United States. So we used Tehran to Seattle as a marker. And this is, I guess you could say it's an estimated marker. It could be more, it could be less. I don't imagine it being much more or much less. If we just say they're coming from Iran, even though they were not directly in Iran, they were a little bit beyond that. We'll just count it as being Iran. And if we count, we go the amount of miles that it would take to go through Siberia, through Alaska, and then down through Siberia all the way to the east coast of Russia, to Alaska, the west coast of the United States, cross a land bridge that may or may not have been there. We know that that sea ices over. We know that the Israelites were, seafaring men that were able to travel across sea if necessary. And it's 50 kilometers, which is 25 miles or so from one end to the other, right? So what we're looking at then is the journey possible? And we have to consider the journey as, we have to consider, is it possible in two ways. Can you make the 5,000-mile trek in a year and a half? And is the trek doable at all? Is the area too mountainous? Is it too cold to even do the journey at all, or in the amount of time that's allotted in the scripture? Now we know that they were helped along the way with signs and wonders, but we want to make sure that we get the information as close to exact as possible. So when we used this key on the map on the key, because the key showed on the key on the map, not the key in my hand, the key on the map, which is of course the designations for distance on the map. That key, 1,000 kilometers was about this long, and then we went all the way up to, I believe, 8,000 kilometers, just using the key of the key, to get there to Seattle from Tehran. And what we came up with was 8,000 kilometers, which basically boils down to about 5,000 miles. So that's the place where we'll start, is 5,000 miles. So could this journey be possible in a year and a half? So I went online and looked up average walking pace. And this is where I messed up yesterday, you guys, because I confused 3 hours and I confused it. I did it wrong. So let's see if we can come up with a good number today. So online it says 3 miles an hour is a good walking pace. Now we know that this is a group of large people, so you're not going to get a regular walking pace of 3 miles an hour with a huge group. So what we then need to say then is we need to drop down that walking distance per hour significantly, because you're talking about a bunch of people walking in an hour. They're not going to be able to keep up possibly with a 3 mile pace. So let's drop it down to 1 mile an hour. Let's just say they get 1 mile an hour walking. Do you see what I'm saying? And then let's also say that they're walking for 8 hours a day, every day. Do you see what I'm saying? So that would mean that there would be 8 miles of walking per day, 8 miles per day, at that pace, at 1 mile an hour. You're getting 8 miles a day, right? So then if you're getting 8 miles a day, then that is okay. From 3 miles walking in a distance, then you'll say, okay, well, maybe you'll get more than that. I don't think you'll get much less than that. Maybe you'll get more. Do you see what I'm saying? So in order to make it fair, let's just round that number, 8 miles a day, to 10 miles a day. So you're looking at about 1.2 or so an hour. Do you see? Let's just say you're covering 10 miles a day. I don't think that that's impossible for a large group to do per day, but it may be kind of stretching it. Do you see what I'm saying? So we're going to use that nice even number. So let's go ahead and divide this, and then this is an easy math problem. So I'm clicking the wrong thing here. All right, so 5,000 miles divided by 10 miles a day should give us the amount of days it's going to take, right? So 5,000 divided by 10, 500, right? And so this is the amount of days, right? This is the amount of days that it would take if we did 10 miles a day. But wait, Scripture says that this was a people that wanted to be obedient, that were looking to keep their laws and commandments. That means they would have to stop for the Sabbath day every week. So if we're talking about a year and a half, How many Sabbath days is that? Is it what, 54 weeks a year? Is it 54 or 53? So either way, it'll be 54. Let's just say 54 so we can do it evenly. And then we'll break that in half to 26. So 54 plus 26. What's 54 plus 26? 54 plus 26. 60, 80. So that's 80. So you'll have to add 80 days to this. So 500 plus 80, right? So we got 580. And so now let's divide that by 364 days a year. That's still a little bit long. Still a little bit long, you guys. It's coming up with 1.6 years. But check this out, guys. If they can make, so walking distance is 10 miles. I can imagine 10 miles being from here probably to the castle, maybe to the, yeah, I'd say about to the castle. Could me and my family walk all day and make it to the castle? I think we could. I think we could, even stopping to eat and you know, with kids, I think we could make it to the castle. So, you know, I don't know. Could we do 11 or 12 miles? Let's see if we do 11. So if we do 11, 5,000 divided by 11 equals 454. Okay, am I doing this right? And so that divided by 364 equals 1.2. So do you see what I'm saying? Even if we do even just 1 mile extra a day, is it making that big of a difference? Do you see what I'm saying? If you do around 10 miles a day, you'd nearly be right at 1.5. So, you know, it's close. It looks like it's taken just exactly 1.5 years. If you walk 10 miles a day and you don't keep Sabbath for that 1.5 years, or you do keep Sabbath, you keep Sabbath for that 1.5 years, and so you take out walking on those days. It's 54 days, 54 plus 26, no, it's 27. 54 plus 27 is, 81 then. 81 divided by, 81 plus this 54. Let's do 81 plus this 454. Clear. So we'll add 81 days. 454 plus 81. Am I doing this math right, y'all? So now you're at 535 divided by 364. Right under a year and a half. If you do 11 miles a day, you're right under a year and a half. Is 11 miles a day for a year and a half for, let's just even say 1 million people. Is that possible? Can you even feed that many people at one time? Is it possible to happen? The distance is coming up at a year and a half, you guys, at 11 miles a day. It's coming up at a year and a half. I mean, show me where I'm wrong in my math, but let's just break this down again. Let's go step by step. If we get 8,000 kilometers, let's just see if we can take a look here. Let's see if we can take a look. I wonder, can I switch out? While I'm, let's see if I can. Nah, it's not gonna let me. You see what I'm saying? It's not gonna let me. It's not gonna let me access that. Let's see if I can add one. Let's see. Aha, there we go. Boom. All right. So let's go to, oh, that's crazy. Why are we in space? Let's go from Tehran You see what I'm saying? It's a long way. Let's go from Tehran to Alaska. It's this. You see what I'm saying? And here's the kilometers right here. And I'm using this key. You see what I'm saying? If this is right. So let's say to that edge is 2,000. So I'm looking at 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000 to get into 8,000 to get directly into Alaska. So 8,000 won't get us into, let's see, 10,000. 12,000 gets us, 8,000 gets us to Canada. 12,000 gets, or to Alaska. 12,000 gets us to Seattle. So, 12,000 is too far, right? We know it needs to be at around 8,000. And 8,000 gets you to Alaska. Do you see what I'm saying? So let's take another look. Let's take another look. I wish I could draw a line. And of course we know that these lines. Okay, so let's do something else real quick. Let's look at Cochise. Cochise Fountain, Georgia. Do you see what I'm saying? It was in that area. Let's take a look. Cochise. You see the Cochise and the Iberians? You see that? It's the Kingdom of Iberia, early Georgian states, 600 to 150 BC. I mean, isn't that right on time, you guys, for there to be Hebrews there? Isn't that right on time? Do you see what I'm saying? Isn't that right when the Persian Empire is coming into existence right here? Isn't this when the Assyrian Empire is being conquered by Babylon? Do you see what I'm saying? The Babylonians start conquering Assyria around 600 BC. Before that, about 620, 30, this is Nebuchadnezzar's father. He goes on, a campaign, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Assyria is the nation that they conquered in order to be leading in this, battle for control over the world. Because Assyria was in control over the world before then. So the Babylonians replaced the Assyrians. And so the Assyrians would have been conquered by the time of 600. So they would no longer be the Iberians, the Cochise, these people right here, would no longer be under the control of, you see Persian Empire right here, they'd be no longer under the control of the Assyrians. So they would no longer be paying tribute. They would no longer be anything like that. You see this middle kingdom right here is where they both overlap. Tacitus called these Cochise people black. He says that they're black-skinned, that they have large, wide noses, and that they have curly hair. So we know that that's the description of even, modern day African American people, modern day African people. So he doesn't say anything about the Iberians, but he does talk about these Cochise people. So you see what I'm saying? It would be this region. Let's try to figure out what region that is. Sarmatia is there, Persian Empire, Albania. It'd be the Caucasus in modern Georgia. So that's where it would be, you guys. So it'd be just a bit. So here Georgia is interesting. And it's also interesting that we have that Georgia in the south, because this would be a connection. So we say that the Magogites came out of the the Caucasus Mountains. Do we then believe that the Israelites went in and went out through this way? If it was so hard for the Magogites to get out, and this was the other thing, the Magogites were hindered from coming through Georgia by this mountain chain, the Caucasus Mountains. And so this is why they were in here in significant numbers. You know, this is between the Black and the Caspian. And so all of this is Russia, but this is the area that's known as the Eurasian Steppe, where you're going back and forth, just back and forth, following the weather. This is Moscow, and of course Ukraine, and all these places over here that we associate with Eastern Europe and Gog and Magog, as well as down here into Asia Minor, because Magog came through here as well, and then also into the Far East. This is why the Kazakhstani people look, white and Asian. This is why all of these different places have a Middle Eastern, Asian, and Caucasian feel. Saw a video about that the other day. I was watching a blogger, a travel vlogger, who was in Iran. All this stuff is in the news, and he went to Tehran, and he was just showing some things in Tehran. But he was talking about the people. He was talking about the people in Tehran, and what he said was, I want to pull the video up. I guess I could. What he said was that the people looked Middle Eastern, they looked European, and then they looked also Asian. And he's a guy from Australia, so clearly he's European people. He's a European person. So he says exactly what we've been talking about, that these group of people in Tehran looked Asian, looked Middle Eastern, and looked European all at the same time, or that they were all, that some of them looked this and some of them looked that, but they were all Iranians. Some of them looked like they were Asian, some of them looked like they were European, some of them looked like they were Middle Eastern, and then blend was everywhere in between. So this is what he, just casually mentions. But now we know why that is the case, because, that group of people that was up here came through here and invaded these regions, but they also split to the west and split to the east. And so the people in the east, the Magogites to the east, took on these Mongol, the Chinese characteristics. This is why we have Mongolia, because the Mongols that invaded this region and went all the way down through here. So, and then you have the Russians, Rus and Meshach in them, because Russia, Moscow, Meshach is Moscow being right here, but this whole land populated by Magog. And then you have to the west, the Eastern European tribes from Ukraine, Belarus, Poland, Romania, Germany, France, Norway, and then throughout this whole area you have the blonde-haired, blue-eyed style of Magogite. And so where were we going? We were talking about where these people are. And so Tehran is this way. So you would actually, if you were going around the Caspian Sea, you would be adding miles on it. But if you were to go around this way, and I guess still you would be adding miles on it. But this nation is what would be right here in this area where we're talking about. And what I would need to do is do a pinpoint. Okay, no, I don't want my current location. No, I don't want to do that. But I need a pinpoint. So can I do that? Measure distance. Okay. Click on the map to trace the path you want to measure. Okay. So let's do this. Cool. This is what I need. So this adds 1,000 kilometers to the journey. Alright, so let's do this. And then now let's do this. Aha. Now we're talking. It's giving me a curvature. I don't want it to give me a curvature. Let's do this, yeah. But see, it is giving me 10,000 kilometers to get to Alaska. Let's go right at 10. So we're about 2,000 kilometers off to get into Alaska from the top if we go this way, right? So let's go back to our calculator. Or can I just minimize this or just shut it off? Can I shut it off? Boom. Alright. So let's use 10,000 as our marker. But I'm going to get that calculator. Let's use 10,000 because we're going to have to make some adjustments here. Let's use 10,000 kilometers, right? And so how many kilometers are in a mile? I want to use miles. So we're doing 10,000 kilometers. Oh, look at that. 6,250 miles. Okay. So that's much more than the 5,000 that we allotted before. So 6,500 miles. And then we're doing 10 miles a day. So that's 650. So 10 miles a day, 650 miles. Oh, 650 days. This is 650 days. And then we have to add 81 because of we have to add 81 because of we have to add 80 because of the Sabbath days in that year and a half. So the Sabbath days plus 80 days. So you're gonna have to add 80 days because you're not walking on that Sabbath. So you're at 730. And so you divide that by 364 and you get 2 years exactly. So that's too long. You have to have 1.5 years. This is too long. It's too long, and this is the best route possible. Do you see what I'm saying? It's the best route possible because, let's see, let's take it down. Let's drag this part down. So that's 5,000 kilometers right there. You see what I'm saying? This is the route that you need to take because there's no other way. If you go around this way, let's just say you go around, that gives you more, right? That puts you at 11. If you're, oh, come on. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So, do we have to recalculate this? This is 8,000. To here is 10,005. So going either direction, you're at 10,005. You see what I'm saying? And it's more difficult to go through the Caucasus. So you're gonna have to go around this way. So 10,005. 10,500. So 6,500 clear. 6,500. So what is 6,500 miles? So there's 6,500 miles. And let's just say you were going 12. Let's just say you managed 15 miles a day, which I don't think that the Israelites are going to be able to do as a group. I don't think that a large group is going to be able to handle 15 miles a day. But let's do it. Let's just take a look. 15 miles a day. So that gives you 433 days. So you still got to add 10. You still got to add 80 days for the Sabbaths. So let's do plus 80. 513 divided by 365 gives you 1.4. So if you do 15 miles a day, you can do it. But is 15 miles a day, let's see, is that, you're doing 15 miles a day times divided by 8 hours. So 2 miles an hour. You're walking 2 miles an hour. Do you see what I'm saying? If you walk 2 miles an hour, you can cover about 14 miles a day. You could do it, even taking Sabbaths off. But is that what happened? Do you see what I'm saying? Is that what happened? So here's the correct math. So it's not to say that it didn't happen. It's not to second guess or anything like that. But I want to make sure that I've got my coordinates accurate. I want to make sure I've got my calculations accurate, so I'm not out here giving any false information. So I'm coming back to correct the mistake in calculation. So in order to make the journey happen, the Israelites, you'd have to do 1 million Israelites walking at 2 miles an hour for at least 8 hours a day to get there, even taking Sabbath off. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, you guys, that's all I got. All right, this is the correction. So all this means right now is that this is what they would have to do. 2 miles an hour? I don't know if you can get 1 million people or 100,000 people to walk 2 miles an hour for 8 hours. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get on the treadmill and see what that looks like. Okay, you guys, shalom, shalom.